I went to surprise my CEO husband at work, but the moment I told security I was his wife, the guard laughed and said she saw his wife there every day. Then she pointed to another woman walking out like she belonged there. Instead of causing a scene, I decided to play along. I went to visit my husband at work because I thought I was doing something sweet. Nolan was the CEO of Meridian Technologies, and that week had been brutal for him. Back-to-back meetings, board pressure, late nights, barely enough time to eat. So I picked up lunch from Osteria, his favorite Italian place downtown, and drove to his office, thinking I would surprise him. At the entrance, there was a sign that said, "Authorized personnel only." I stopped at the security desk and smiled at the guard. "I'm here to see Nolan Sterling," I said. "I'm his wife." The guard laughed. "Ma'am," she said, "I see his wife here every day. There she is right now, actually." Then she pointed toward the glass doors. A woman in a charcoal Tom Ford suit walked through the lobby. Early 40s, confident stride, expensive watch catching the afternoon light, like she belonged on the cover of Forbes. "Miss Sterling," the guard called out, "your husband's still in his 3 o'clock. He should be done in about 20 minutes. The woman nodded as if this was routine. Her security badge said Ren Sterling. She turned toward the elevator bank and pressed the button, scrolling through her phone while she waited. She had not seen me. I stood there holding Nolan's lunch, and something strange happened in my chest. It stopped and started, like an engine misfiring. 28 years. I had been married to Nolan for 28 years, and apparently at his office, he had another wife. Every instinct in me wanted to walk over there, confront her, and demand to know who the hell she thought she was, but I did not move. Something stopped me. Maybe it was how casual the guard sounded, how certain. She had not said it like a rumor. She had said it like everybody knew. Everybody except me. I forced myself to breathe, then turned back to the guard. "You know what?" I said, keeping my voice steady. "I think I have the wrong building. I'm looking for Coratech Pharmaceuticals, not Meridian Tech." The guard frowned. "You said you were Mr. Sterling's wife." "I said I was a friend of the family," I said, forcing a laugh. "Cora's my name. I must have gotten my wires crossed. Long day." Then I set the takeout bag on the security desk. "Actually, could you make sure Nolan gets this? Just tell him Cora dropped it off. Family friend." The guard shrugged. "Sure." I walked out before my legs could give out under me. I had been married to Nolan since 1996. We met when we were both 23. I was fresh out of my accounting degree, and he was finishing his MBA at Northwestern. Nolan was brilliant, ambitious, and magnetic. He made plans in 5-year increments and actually followed through. I was the steady one, the practical one, the one who managed our finances, kept our home running, paid the bills, and made sure the retirement accounts were funded. Nolan always called me his foundation. He said he could take risks because I kept everything stable at home. He climbed fast. Director by 30, vice president by 35, CEO of Meridian Technologies by 43. He had turned that AI-driven logistics company from a struggling startup into a $200 million operation in 8 years. I was proud of him, so damn proud. I supported every late night, every business trip, every weekend he spent reviewing financials instead of going out with me, because that was what you did when you loved someone. We never had children. Nolan never wanted them. He said kids would derail his career trajectory. I was disappointed at first, but I accepted it. His career was his baby. I understood that. Or I thought I did. Now I was sitting in my car in the Meridian Technologies parking lot, with my hands locked around the steering wheel, trying to process what I had just seen. Ren Sterling, Nolan's VP of Operations. I had met her exactly once, 2 years earlier, at a company holiday party. She was tall, charismatic, and sharp. Nolan introduced her as one of his rising stars, then spent most of the evening talking shop with her while I made small talk with the other spouses. I had thought nothing of it. Why would I? I trusted my husband. But the guard had called her Miss Sterling. She had said she saw Nolan's wife every day. Not girlfriend, wife. I could not go home right away. I could not face the empty house I had spent the day cleaning, the lasagna I had made for dinner, or the Hamilton tickets I had bought for our anniversary next month. So I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, sat in a corner booth, and ordered a black coffee I never drank. My phone buzzed at 6:47 p.m. "Nolan, working late again. Don't wait up. Love you." I stared at those words for a long time. Love you? Did he? Did he actually love me? Or was I just the backup plan, the safety net, the woman who paid half the mortgage while he lived a double life? I typed and deleted a dozen responses before finally sending, "Okay, there's lasagna in the fridge." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You're the best. See you late tonight." I put my phone face down on the table and tried to breathe. Nolan came home at 11:23 that night. I was in the living room pretending to read a book I had been staring at for almost 3 hours. "Hey," he said, dropping his bag by the door. He looked tired. His hair was slightly mussed, his shirt collar open, and there was the faintest trace of perfume on him that was not mine. "How was your day?" I asked. My voice sounded normal. That surprised me. "Exhausting," he said. "Back-to-back meetings all afternoon, board presentation at 4. Then Ren and I had to go through the Q3 projections." He headed into the kitchen. "Did you say there was lasagna?" "Yeah," I said. "In the fridge." I listened to him move around the kitchen, the refrigerator opening and closing, the microwave humming, familiar sounds, ordinary sounds, the sounds of my husband existing in our home. Our home. Was it even that anymore? Or had that become another lie? He came back with a plate of reheated lasagna and sat in the armchair across from me. "This is perfect," he said. "I'm starving." I turned a page I had not read. "I actually stopped by your office today," I said casually. "Brought you lunch from Osteria." He paused mid-bite. Only for a second. A tiny hesitation most people would have missed. But I had been married to Nolan for 28 years. I noticed. "You did?" "I didn't get to see you. I gave it to Ren Sterling. Figured she could pass it along." "Oh." He took another bite, chewed, swallowed. "She didn't mention it. Maybe it got lost in the shuffle. Busy day, you know." He was lying perfectly. No crack in his voice, no visible guilt. "How is Ren?" I asked. "She's great," he said. "Best VP I've ever worked with. She really gets the vision. We're in sync on pretty much everything." "In sync," I repeated. "That's good. Important to have a strong working relationship." "Absolutely." He smiled at me. The same smile I had fallen in love with decades earlier. "Thanks for trying to bring me lunch, though," he said. "That was sweet." "Anytime." We sat there for a while, him eating lasagna, me pretending to read, like a normal married couple on a Tuesday night. Except nothing was normal anymore. I waited until he fell asleep. Nolan always slept deeply. Years of running on caffeine and adrenaline had trained him to shut down completely when he finally crashed. By midnight, he was out cold. I went into his study. The door was not locked. It never was. Why would it be? I was his wife. He trusted me. His laptop was on the desk, closed but not locked. I knew his password. I had known it for years. It was our wedding date. I opened it, my hands shaking slightly, feeling like a criminal in my own house. His email was already open. Thousands of messages stared back at me. I did not know where to begin, so I started with his calendar. At first glance, everything looked ordinary. Meetings, board calls, conferences, client dinners, but then I started noticing patterns. Dinner with W, 7 p.m., Il Posto. That was 2 weeks earlier. Il Posto was a romantic Italian restaurant in the West Loop. Candlelit tables, live piano, not the kind of place you take your VP for a routine business dinner. Weekend retreat, Grand Geneva Resort. That had been scheduled for the previous month. I pulled up the resort's website. The suites were $450 a night. Nolan had told me it was a leadership conference. I opened his credit card statements and found the charge. Grand Geneva Resort, 2 rooms, charged to the corporate card. No, wait. 1 room. The second charge had been canceled. 1 room? 2 people? My stomach dropped. I kept digging. More dinners, more trips, more coded calendar entries, a pattern stretching back nearly 3 years. All of it disguised as business. Corporate retreats, team-building exercises, strategy dinners, client development. Ren's name, or the letter W, appeared on every single one. I closed the laptop and went back to the bedroom. I stood in the doorway and watched Nolan sleep. He looked peaceful, almost innocent. I had trusted him completely. Never questioned, never doubted, never demanded explanations for late flights or canceled dinners. And he had been lying to me for 3 years. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 6 years. I was a senior accountant at Monroe & Associates, a mid-sized firm in the Loop. It was a good job, stable, boring, and dependable, the kind of career that paid the bills. Nolan made 3 times what I made. I had never resented that. His success was our success. At least, that was what I had believed. After he left for work, kissing my forehead and telling me to feel better, I started digging for real. I went through every drawer in his study, every file cabinet, every box in his closet. In the back of his desk drawer, tucked inside an old watch box he never used, I found a key. Just one key, a standard silver apartment key, no label. But attached to it was a keychain tag with an address. Harborview Apartments, Unit 2, 14. Harborview was a luxury apartment complex in River North. I had driven past it dozens of times. 30 stories, floor-to-ceiling windows, marble lobby, and studios that started at $2,500 a month. I took the key and drove there. The parking garage had spaces marked with unit numbers. Space 214 had a black Mercedes GLE parked in it. Ren Sterling's car. I recognized it from the Meridian parking lot. My hands shook as I took the elevator up to the second floor. I found Unit 214. I stood outside the door with the key in my palm. Part of me wanted it not to work. It did. The door opened. Inside was not a temporary rental. It was a fully furnished apartment, a home. Hardwood floors, modern furniture, fresh flowers on the coffee table. The air smelled like Nolan's expensive cologne, the one he wore for special occasions. There were photos on the mantle. Nolan and Ren at a beach. Nolan and Ren at a restaurant. Nolan and Ren on a hiking trail. In every single photo, Nolan was not wearing his wedding ring. I walked through in a daze. The kitchen had 2 sets of dishes, 2 coffee mugs on the counter, his and hers. The bedroom made me physically sick. A king-size bed with expensive linens. Nolan's clothes hanging beside Ren's dresses. His shoes lined up next to hers. Intimate evidence of a life already built. They had not just been having an affair. They had been living together. On the dresser, I found a folder labeled Future Plans in Nolan's distinctive handwriting. I opened it. Inside were real estate listings. Houses in Evanston, Oak Park, Wilmette, $800,000 to $1.2 million. All circled, all covered in notes. Good schools nearby. Close to Ren's parents. Loved the kitchen. There were travel brochures too. Santorini, Tokyo, New Zealand. Dream honeymoon destinations. Underneath all of that were legal documents. Divorce consultation summaries dated from 18 months earlier. Nolan had met with 3 different divorce attorneys, shopping for the best strategy. The notes were clinical, cold, frame as irreconcilable differences. Cite Cora's lack of ambition and emotional distance. Document instances of her failure to support my career growth. Instances. He had been building a case against me. There were pages of examples, times I had supposedly undermined him by asking him to skip work events. I'd been emotionally unavailable because I did not want corporate politics over dinner, or shown a lack of ambition because I was content with my accounting job. Every ordinary marital friction point had been reframed as evidence of my inadequacy. The most recent note was dated 3 weeks earlier. Timeline. File for divorce by January 2025. Finalized by June. Wedding with W by Christmas 2025. He had planned everything. My replacement was already living with him part-time. Their future home was already being selected. Their honeymoon was already imagined. Their wedding had already been placed on a timeline. I was not his wife anymore. I was the obstacle he needed to remove. I photographed everything. Every page, every document, every circled house, every travel brochure, every photo on the mantle. Then I sat on their couch, in their apartment, in their secret life, and tried to understand that my 28-year marriage had been a lie for at least 3 years. After that, I went back to my car and drove. No destination, no plan, I just drove. My phone rang at 3:47 p.m. It was Nolan. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 4:15, then 4:32. Then he texted, "Where are you? Are you feeling better?" I did not respond. At 6 o'clock, I pulled into a parking lot and finally listened to the voicemails. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're feeling better. Call me when you get this." Then the second one. "Cora, I'm getting worried. You're not answering. Are you okay?" Then the third. "Seriously, where are you? I'm about to call hospitals. Please call me back." The concern in his voice sounded so real, so genuine. He was good. Really good. I called him back. "Oh, thank God," he said immediately. "Where have you been? I was so worried." "Just drove around," I said. "Needed to clear my head. I'm fine." "You scared me. Are you coming home?" "Home. What a joke." "Yeah," I said. "I'll be there soon." "Good. I'm leaving work early. I'll pick up Thai food on the way. Your favorite." My favorite? He still remembered my favorite food. He still knew which details made him sound like a loving husband. "Sounds good," he said. "Love you." "Yeah," I said. "You too." I hung up before he could hear my voice crack. That night, we ate Thai food at our dining room table. Nolan told me about his day. Some crisis with a client, a difficult board member, the usual corporate drama. I nodded in the right places and played the role of supportive wife, all while knowing that, in a few months, he planned to divorce me and marry Ren Sterling. After dinner, he suggested a movie. We sat on the couch like we had 1,000 times before, his head resting on my shoulder. Except I could smell that expensive cologne on him, and now I knew exactly where he had worn it. "Cora," he said during a quiet part of the movie. "Yeah? Are we okay? You seem distant." Distant. The word from his notes, one of the accusations he planned to use against me. "I'm fine," I said. "Just still not feeling great." "Okay?" He squeezed my hand. Let me know if you need anything. I will. We finished the movie. We went to bed. Nolan fell asleep almost immediately. I lay awake until 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling and planning my next move. The next morning, I called in sick again. Nolan left at 7:15, kissed my forehead, told me to rest, and walked out the door like nothing had happened. The second he was gone, I went back to his study. I had been an accountant for 22 years. I knew how to find financial irregularities. Now the pattern was obvious. Our joint checking account showed consistent deposits from both our paychecks. Mine was about $6,200 a month after taxes. Nolan's was roughly $11,000 a month after taxes. Our monthly expenses, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, everything, came to about $8,500. We should have been saving around $8,700 a month. Over 3 years, that should have meant more than $300,000 in savings. Our savings account had $47,000. So, where had the rest gone? I pulled up Nolan's personal credit card, the one he always claimed was for business expenses that would get reimbursed. Harborview Apartments, $3,200 a month for 3 years. $115,200. Furniture, $24,000 from West Elm, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel. Travel, $31,000 to various luxury destinations. Dining, charge after charge at expensive restaurants. He had been funding his entire secret life with our joint money. My money. While I had been eating leftovers and driving a 10-year-old Honda Civic, Nolan had been playing house with Ren Sterling in a $3,200 a month apartment using money I had earned. I documented everything. I downloaded 3 years of bank statements, credit card records, and investment account transfers. Then I started looking at Meridian Technologies' corporate filings. That was where my accounting background really paid off. I knew how to read financial statements, spot irregularities, and see the story behind the numbers. And the story was damning. Nolan had been quietly restructuring the company without board approval in a way that positioned Ren Sterling as his successor. He had moved resources into her department, given her control over key accounts, and positioned her for a promotion to COO, a position that did not even officially exist yet. He was building her a golden ladder to the top while making himself look like a visionary kingmaker. But he had done it by redirecting company resources without proper authorization. He had made financial decisions that benefited his personal relationship rather than shareholder interests. That was corporate misconduct, possibly fraud. I took screenshots of everything, organized it into folders, and built a timeline. Then I called Richard Callaway. Richard Callaway was the chairman of Meridian Technologies' board of directors. I had met him twice at company events. He was a retired hedge fund manager in his late 60s, sharp as a blade. When he answered, I said, "Richard, this is Cora Hartman, Nolan's wife. We met at the holiday party 2 years ago." "Of course," he said. "How are you? Is Nolan all right?" "He's fine," I said. "I'm actually calling about some concerns I have regarding the company." There was a pause. "What kind of concerns?" "The kind that involve unauthorized corporate restructuring and misuse of company resources. Do you have time to meet today?" The next pause was longer. "I can be at your office in 2 hours," he said. "I work from home," I said. "I'll text you the address." Richard Callaway arrived at exactly 2 o'clock, tall, silver-haired, and wearing a suit that probably cost more than my car. I offered him coffee. He accepted. We sat in my living room, the same room where Nolan and I had watched movies, celebrated anniversaries, and built what I thought was a life. "Show me what you've got," Richard said. So I did. I opened my laptop and walked him through everything. The apartment, the photos, the divorce documents, the missing money, the restructuring, and the timeline connecting the affair to the business decisions. His expression grew darker with every revelation. "Jesus Christ," he muttered when I showed him the financial irregularities. "As far as I can tell," I said, "he has been redirecting capital expenditure budgets without board approval, and the changes specifically benefit Ren Sterling's department." "Why would he do that?" Richard asked. I pulled up the photos from the apartment. Richard's jaw tightened. "They're having an affair," he said. "More than that," I said. "They're living together part-time. He is planning to divorce me and marry her, and he has been positioning her to take over the company." "That is a massive conflict of interest," Richard said. "He has a fiduciary duty to the board, to the shareholders." He stopped and ran a hand through his hair. "Do you have copies of all of this?" "Everything is in this folder." I handed him a USB drive. "Bank records, corporate filings, photos, timeline." "I need to call an emergency board meeting," Richard said. I figured. He stood, then paused. "Cora, I am sorry for what he has done to you personally, but also, thank you. If this had gone unchecked much longer, the damage to the company could have been catastrophic." I'm not doing this for revenge, I said. That was partly a lie. I'm doing it because it is the truth, and I am done pretending not to see what is right in front of me. Richard shook my hand. I'll be in touch, he said. Nolan came home at 6:15 that evening, earlier than usual. I was making dinner, chicken stir-fry, something simple. When he walked into the kitchen, one look at his face told me Richard had already called the emergency board meeting. You son of a... He stopped himself, but his voice was shaking. You called Richard Calloway. I kept stirring the vegetables. I did not turn around. My own wife is trying to destroy my career, he said. I shared some information I thought the board should have, I replied. That's all. Information? His voice rose. You showed him private photos. You went through my personal files. Your personal files were in our shared home, I said. Your personal life was funded by our joint bank account. He grabbed my arm and spun me around. This is different, he said. This is my professional reputation. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at him. And sleeping with your VP while restructuring the company to benefit her personally? I said. That's professional? His face went pale. What do you want? He asked quietly. Money? The house? What? I don't want anything from you, Nolan. You set this in motion 3 years ago. I'm just refusing to be the fool while you execute your plan. What plan? I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos from the apartment, his face in every frame. The folder labeled Future Plans, the real estate listings, the divorce notes. This plan, I said. The one where you divorce me by January, marry Wren by Christmas, and live happily ever after in your Evanston dream home. He sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. How did you... I found the key to your other life. He stared at me, speechless. Nolan, 28 years, I said. I supported every decision you made, every late night, every business trip, every sacrifice, because I loved you, because I thought we were building something together. We were, he whispered. No, I said. You were building an exit strategy, and I was funding it. Then he started crying. I'm sorry, he said. I never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? I asked. Were you going to tell me before or after you filed for divorce? He did not answer. That's what I thought. I turned off the stove and grabbed my keys. Where are you going? He asked. A hotel. Cora, wait. I'll have divorce papers drawn up by Monday. There's nothing left to say, Nolan. You made your choice years ago. I'm just catching up. I filed for divorce that Monday. My attorney was Jennifer Kowalski, a family law lawyer with 23 years of experience. She reviewed the evidence in silence, page by page, until finally she leaned back and whistled. This is one of the clearest cases of marital misconduct I have ever seen, she said. The secret apartment, the financial deception, the documented timeline of him planning to leave you. You are going to do very well in this divorce. I don't care about doing well, I said. I just want out. You should care, Jennifer said. He used marital funds to support an affair. That is financial infidelity. Illinois law takes that seriously. The board meeting happened that same afternoon. I was not there, but Richard called me at 5:47 p.m. Wren Sterling has been terminated effective immediately, he said. Nolan is on administrative probation. His authority has been severely restricted, pending a full investigation, and the restructuring is being reversed. We have hired a forensic accountant to do a complete audit. If we find that he violated fiduciary duty or committed fraud, he could face criminal charges, not just termination. I closed my eyes. Jesus, I said. He built this house of cards, Richard replied. Cora, you just knocked it down. Nolan called me that night. I was in a Marriott near O'Hare, eating takeout Chinese and watching ESPN because I needed noise. You've destroyed everything, he said. He was crying. Wren lost her job. The board is investigating me. My career is over. How could you do this? How could I? My voice came out cold. You spent 3 years planning my replacement. You stole $250,000 from our joint account to fund your affair. You committed corporate misconduct to benefit your lover. And you're asking how I could do this? I was going to tell you. When? I asked. After you filed for divorce? After you married Wren by Christmas like you planned? Silence. You knew about that? I know everything, Nolan. The apartment, the lawyers, the timeline, the real estate listings, all of it. Please, he said, his voice breaking. We can fix this. I'll end things with Wren. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. I almost laughed. Wren already lost her job because of you, I said. And now you want to abandon her too. At least be consistent in who you betray. That's not fair. Fair? This time I did laugh, and it sounded bitter even to me. You want to talk about fair? You spent 28 years building my trust so you could execute the perfect betrayal. You documented every small argument as evidence against me. You built a legal case while I was cooking dinner and doing laundry, and supporting your career. I loved you, he said. No, I said. You loved what I provided. Stability, financial security, a foundation you could stand on while you built your empire. And the second you found someone who fit your new life better, you started planning to trade me in. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And you know what the worst part is? You were going to make me the villain. All those notes about my lack of ambition, my emotional distance, my failure to support your career. You were going to divorce me and make it my fault. He was sobbing now. Please, Cora, 28 years. That has to mean something. It did, I said, past tense. You killed it when you got the key to apartment 214. Then I hung up. He called back 6 times. I blocked his number. The divorce took 4 months. Nolan fought it at first, but Jennifer had been right. The evidence was overwhelming. I got the house. He got to keep his car and his damaged reputation. Every dollar of the $250,000 he had siphoned into apartment 214 came straight back out of his half of the settlement, line by documented line. The board investigation concluded that Nolan had violated his fiduciary duty by restructuring the company to benefit his personal relationship. He was forced to resign in March 2025. No golden parachute, no generous severance, gone. The forensic audit found everything I had found and more. The board referred the whole file to their attorneys to decide whether criminal charges should follow. Ren Sterling filed a lawsuit against both Nolan and Meridian Technologies, claiming wrongful termination. It was dismissed. As it turned out, having an affair with your CEO and benefiting from unauthorized corporate restructuring was, in fact, a fireable offense. The last I heard, Nolan and Ren broke up 3 months after everything collapsed. Ren blamed Nolan for ruining her career. Nolan blamed Ren for not being worth the sacrifice. Neither of them took responsibility for their own choices. He had spent 28 years letting me hold his life steady so he could gamble on everything else. Then he planned every detail of a future without me. He just forgot one thing about the life he was trading in. I was the one who read the numbers.